Hi, and welcome back to the Lead Skills Show. I'm your host, Oscar, and with us today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Jacci Breeze, and she's going to help us talk a little bit more about commercial real estate and the different kinds of commercial real estate that there is. So there was something that I actually was not aware of, and she explained it to me last time. I'm going to let her explain in this episode. But like you guys know, we love having guests with interesting stories. We love learning about the entrepreneurial journey, how people actually build companies or get to another industry coming from different backgrounds. So, Jacci, thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you, Oscar. I'm really excited to talk about this.
Thank you, and so am I. So, the first question that I have just, can you please introduce yourself, tell us what you do and what the company does as well?
You bet. My name, like you said, is Jacci Breeze. I'm a licensed real estate agent with a brokerage in Kansas City, Missouri called Wardell and Holmes Real Estate. We hold licenses at the brokerage in Kansas and Missouri and Colorado. We have a referral network across the country. I myself hold licenses in Kansas and Missouri as well.
Okay. And thank you for that. And, when we spoke last time, and I didn't know this, like I said in the introduction, you asked me, what is it that you want to dive into when it comes to commercial real estate? And when I asked you what you're asking, that you said that there were two main parts or two main things, right, where commercial real estate operates. So can you just tell the audience a little bit about, those two, sides to commercial real estate?
Yeah. So it's funny, Oscar, when you asked me about commercial real estate, this whole talk path kind of happened because I had to pause and ask you, well, like you said, what do you mean? Because my head went to two places. We have in our brokerage and in many real estate brokerages, two different types of clients. We have a client that wants to buy commercial property to lease or house a business or some commercial endeavor that they're working on. So commercial property, but we also have a large group of clients who buy residential single family homes to build a commercial portfolio of rental properties. So that's kind of the two ways that we go with it and why I had to say, well, wait a second, what are you talking about, Oscar?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. And yeah, that was very interesting to me because I didn't really know. I thought that maybe if people were building their portfolio, it was still considered residential because they are building it, a portfolio of residential properties. But
Yep.
that was very interesting. Thank you for that. And Jacci, I'm curious, why did you decide to go into commercial real estate? Can you tell us a little bit, take me back to the beginning, how do you get into the company and how do you start in commercial real estate?
Great question. So I've spent 24 years in the insurance business, and over my journey through the insurance world, I came to really have an interest in real estate for two reasons. One is that I really enjoy helping people create a beautiful life, and there's a story behind that. And the other reason is that I'm very interested in design and the staging components of getting a property ready for somebody to buy or want to buy really spoke to me.
Okay. And so you started in insurance, you went to commercial real estate. How did you end up, in the company where you are today?
Well, I'll tell you a secret that you and the listeners will only know. I still work at insurance too. I do dabble in insurance as well. But this is a true transparent story. I have had my real estate license since November of last year. So just right about a year. And I went to an in-person real estate class to prepare me to take the tests, the national and the two state exams I had to take. And they told me at that real estate school, and this may be true in a lot of circumstances, they told me it doesn't matter what real estate brokerage you decide to partner with. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is you as a real estate agent. You are selling your own brand. And so I took that to heart, and I received a letter in the mail from a brokerage that said, hey, I saw your name on the list of people who just passed the exam, and I'd love to talk to you. And I said, all right, let's talk. And I had a pleasant conversation, and I said, okay, well, if they told me in school that it doesn't matter which brokerage I go to, this brokerage proactively reached out. We had a nice conversation. I'll just do it. But
Okay.
for me, that was not the right response or the right reaction to this. I partnered with a brokerage that wasn't giving me support, wasn't giving me leads, wasn't providing any sort of mentorship opportunities that I needed to get off the ground. So I was really spinning my wheels. And after a very frustrating Saturday at an open house that had no electricity in the middle of winter,
Wow.
I just kind of said, I've got to do something different. This isn't working. I knew that I wanted to do real estate, but what I was doing wasn't working. I noticed previously some posts from the real estate brokerage Wardell and Holmes Real Estate talking about International Women's Day that were speaking to me, in a professional and personal way. And I just said, I'm going to reach out to Andrea Wardell. And I sent her a Facebook message and I said, I'm a brand new agent and I'm struggling. And she immediately responded and said, let's talk. And her willingness to talk with me, knowing that there was in that moment absolutely nothing in it for her, just some lady reaching out saying, I need some help. And she immediately responded. And so our relationship, because of that, really started off in a great place. We met, she invited me she had a big townhome project at the time. We have another big townhome project that's exciting, but a different one. And she invited me to an open house event they were having, and we talked. I met some of the team, and it just went from there. She invited me to do a couple of other open houses, and then she tried me out a little bit. I tried her out a little bit, and we realized that we would work well together. And through that relationship, now I've really found a wonderful home at Wardell and Holmes Real Estate.
Wow, that's there's a lot there that I love. Even with that bad experience, which I'm sorry that you had that, but it's so funny how, because this happens a lot, right? I'm in the business development marketing world, so I see this a lot where there's companies that just reach out to potential clients, or even in your case, potential partners, staff members, etc. I was in recruiting as well, so I kind of understand the two pipelines that are coming in. And it's so interesting how there are companies that will give you a great first impression in the beginning, but then the follow up is not there, right? And so I'm sorry that that happened to you, but it's so great to hear, that there's people like Andrea that you mentioned, right? You reach out to her, she immediately replied. She said yes. She's being congruent with. There was a reason why the post spoke to you, and I think that speaks to their congruency. How once you reached out, she followed up. Like you said, there wasn't really anything there for her. She was just trying to help you. So I think that's great. And I think that's a great way of doing business, whether that's, client facing or staff facing. It's just something that creates great companies, and great companies do.
I completely agree. She and the folks that I have the pleasure of working with prove themselves to me every single day, prove that was right. I'll never say the name of the prior brokerage that I worked for, but it was a big name. A lot of people might not have heard of Wardell and Holmes Real Estate, but that is the sort of the dynamic that you're describing, where you've got the big name that's supposed to be really good, as opposed to this self-made, incredibly brilliant team of people who have built something from the ground up.
Yeah, and that's another thing also, now that you mentioned that, I think that's one of the advantages that most smaller companies have, right? As opposed to like big Fortune 500, is that they have so many advantages when it comes to being flexible, when it comes to speed, of movement, of reaction. And since you're usually dealing directly with the owner, right, or the big decision maker, you can just say, hey guys, this is the culture, this is what we're gonna do, and the owner is still involved in a lot of the day-to-day operations, right, or the hiring. So I think that it's easier to have that culture permeate the whole company, and also make sure that the people that are coming into the company fit within that culture. So yeah, I think that's great. I think that's awesome. Andrea, if you're seeing this, it's amazing that you did that.
I bet she will. She might listen.
And Jacci, so when it comes to let's talk about your first clients, right? Insurance,
Okay.
commercial real estate. What is the difference that you've seen in terms of, landing your first clients? How was it when you landed your first insurance client versus how was it when you landed your first, real estate client?
That's an excellent question. So there are many similarities. Just real quick, not to bore everyone, I know this is about real estate and investment, but the insurance company that I've worked for the last 8 years is a startup, and we focus on the commercial insurance space. So we
Okay.
have really had to sell our value proposition, and that is true for me in the real estate world as well. What I found is that it's very easy to quickly find out through Zillow or through our real estate databases. It's very easy to find out just how much experience a real estate agent has because the sells and the buys are tracked. So there is not really an option to just sort of sit back and pretend I'm I know what I'm doing. I'm an experienced agent. So you're really leaning into and it's the right thing to do in a transparent way. You're really leaning into, you're going on a journey with me. I'm new at this and I have an amazing team behind me at Ward Allen Homes who will support me. So landing that first client through that lens of I'm brand new at this and you're putting extra trust in me in this very important purchase or this very important sale just feels so good. Like they're putting their trust in me. I'm gonna do this for them, but it's extra complex because you really you feel so much appreciation for the fact that they've put your trust in you that it just makes you want to deliver even that much more.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's a great answer. I love hearing that. And just from that conversation that we're having right now, but also the conversation when we first met, I can tell right away you're happy at Wardell. I mean, it's obvious that you love the company. They're great. From everything you're saying, what is it that you think makes Wardell different? What is it that they do that it's different from other companies that you've seen?
Well, I think, it makes a big difference that Wardell and Holmes is an independent brokerage, a boutique size, right? There's a group of agents working with Andrea that are all rowing in the same direction. And we're very clear about our philosophy that every client is an investor. So regardless of whether you are buying your first home or you are buying the fifth single family property that completes what has become your own personal commercial portfolio, right? That you are an investor. So through keeping that philosophy in mind, really focusing on what we do well, serving the community. We are best of Zillow month over month. We're outperforming 75% of Zillow Premier Agent partners. We are number
Wow.
82 on the women owned business list for the Kansas City Business Journal. That's up 24 from the prior year. I mean, we just are committed to our philosophy, focused on our customers, just to an obsessive point, and really trying to, and me personally, I won't tie this to Word Out Homes because it's really my own personal thing, but really trying to help people create that beautiful life.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations on all of that, especially at 21st, jumping 21st spaces. That's great.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. It is. And why do you think that is? Like, what made it possible, in your opinion, to jump those 21st spaces? And I'm sure you had to do a lot of it. This year you're there. But other than that, like, what do you think made that jump possible?
I am 100% confident that those rankings would exist without me, truthfully. But I I think it's the commitment to the philosophy or the value. And I think it is just keeping that singular focus of the client in mind. It is, I have witnessed and learned to do the same from Andrea, this real sort of obsession with meeting people where they're at and helping them with whatever they need. From my ignorant perspective, I hear Andrea talking to someone and I think, why is she helping them with that? And then, I ask questions and it's like, oh, okay. So that she's not putting what the broker, like a financial conquest on top of this work that she's doing. She is truly focusing on this person and saying, how can I help them? How can I meet them where they're at and help them figure this problem out? And if that leads to some sort of real estate transaction, great. But that's not what she's leading with. And I have learned that from listening to her, and I'm adopting that in my own business. It's just this idea that you're out to help people. When you keep that sort of philosophy in front of you, the other stuff just happens. But the other stuff doesn't happen if you're not just staying true to what you believe in, and that is helping the customer.
I think that's so true, and I resonate a lot with what you said, because that's one of my philosophies, especially when it comes to businesses, meeting people where they are, and that's something that I tell my prospect, my clients about our relationship, but also their own prospects, leads, and clients. I like meeting you where you are. So depending on where you are, your goals, what you've tried and everything, we're going to do, something customized for you. And I believe that we should do the same from you to your clients, right? So if your clients or your prospects are, let's just, a quick example. If we know that your prospects, your ideal client profile, right, it's hanging out more in their email, then we need to reach them via email, right? If they're hanging out more on LinkedIn, then we need to use LinkedIn. If they're hanging out more, in TikTok or whatever, then we need to focus a little bit more on TikTok, right? As opposed to just building a multi-channel, approach or campaign just for the sake of it, right? So I think I'm a big believer in that. And you mentioned something, a few minutes ago about, everyone being a potential, like every client being an investor, right? Or being a potential investor. Uh, and the question here is, what kind of clients do you guys usually work with or reach out to? Is there like a minimum size of client, or how do you choose? Or is it all inbound and they choose you, they look up for you? Like, just wondering a little bit more about, that.
There are real estate brokerages that have a niche, right? And they really want to stay, whether it's luxury or whether it's first time home buyers or whether it's, small properties that turn into Airbnb, whatever it is, there are niches. At Ward Allen Homes, we are really just focused on the person. You call our brokerage and you have a very, very small little savings set aside and you want to figure out if you can buy a home, and maybe that home is $90,000, we're going to help you in the same way that the developer who calls us and says, "Hey, we've got a 50-unit project that we need real estate support for." It sounds so cliche, and I feel it when I say it, but it's the truth. I will have a closing for a $120,000 property, a week apart from $1 million listing. There is it is how can we help serve our community and our client. And if you come to us as a first time home buyer looking for or you need a really small investment property to flip, it's the same to us. We are dedicated to you in the same way.
Okay. Thank you for that. I love that. So anybody out there, Kansas City looking for their first home or their fifth home, whatever it is, Jacci is the one. Ward Allen Homes are the ones as well. Okay. And, just going a little bit broader into, like the industry side of things, just from your perspective, what are some of the challenges that you kind of see, right now in commercial real estate, right? And that could be, either on the business side of things or on the investor side of things. Like, what are the challenges you've seen, so far this year?
Don't think it's going to come as any surprise to you, Oscar, that I'm going to say first and foremost the sort of challenging, unstable political climate that we are all experiencing right now. There is a real uncertainty amongst a lot of people about, what is a year from now, what is 5 years from now, and that impacts everything, and it impacts real estate in the same way. Now, what's interesting about commercial real estate is that sometimes that uncertainty can also help, right? When you are thinking, I'm going to take advantage of the uncertainty and continue to build my portfolio. That helps, but I don't know that it outweighs the other side of the coin, which is just the uncertainty of, what does this world look like in the next year? And is this the right time to make a move? A lot of people say, maybe not right now.
Yeah, and one part of that question was you being in insurance and then also commercial real estate. If there was something that you kind of saw, in terms of, well, what, I am seeing a difference in this one versus this other one. But I think, like you said, like the political uncertainty is something that affects everything.
Yes,
I
and
understand
then
that.
in the insurance space, I mean, the uncertainty is, a drag for insurance as well. What is challenging in insurance is a concept called social inflation, which is this idea that, what would your insurance claim today is going to settle if you're a business. I'm looking at this through the commercial lens. If I'm a business and I have a customer injured in my business, that insurance claim is going to settle for a significant amount more today than it would have 10 years ago because of social inflation, which is this idea that when the market is tough, when there is uncertainty, when all of these things lead to higher jury verdicts, and when the higher jury verdicts happens, insurance claims cost more to resolve.
That's the first time that I hear about social inflation, like that term, and then just knowing that that's like social inflation affects that. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's in a lot of ways, it's a real buzzword in insurance, and it's just a concept that I would encourage everybody to understand a little bit better. And once you sort of understand what social inflation is, it does change the way that you think about that postcard you get in the mail that says, did you have a cell phone with this cell phone carrier from this period of time? If you did, call us. Or when you get into a minor fender bender and you get the letter from the insurance or the lawyer that says, I can get you $100,000 for this. I mean, that all contributes to rising insurance rates. And every time somebody says yes to that, somebody is paying the bill and it's the insurance company. And you ultimately, as a consumer, bear the burden of that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that explains a lot of things. And you said it, right? Like you've had your license for a year. So congratulations. What is something that you've learned, in this year, especially, at or from Orta Homes that I don't know, that surprised you? Something that you said, you know what, this year, this is something that I learned that it's very interesting to me that you could just, share with the audience.
Yeah. I really did not have a solid understanding of the amount of work that a typical real estate agent puts into a real estate transaction. My phone, this is not no reflection on how busy I am. This is every real estate agent in this city or your city or any city. Their phone is going to buzz from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. And
Okay.
you get to this point where you think, I've got to, somebody needs something and I've got to answer it. I mean, it is a really interesting profession, and that your time sort of whittles away and it becomes other people's time. And that's okay, because, helping people create a beautiful life, that is what it is. But it really did surprise me that there is so much involved in every single transaction.
Okay. And we spoke about this a little bit. First of all, thank you for that. We spoke about this a little bit last time. How much does Kansas City Chiefs, how much does, this run that they've been on for the past few years, how much does that affect, positively commercial real estate and just business, business in general in Kansas City?
So when you and I talked last, the Chiefs were really performing well. Now that we're talking again, it's incredibly unlikely that we even make the playoffs. So I'm going to go back to when we were going to make the playoffs,
Yeah.
obviously, because we do every year. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like those days better. And really,
We
no,
all do. We all do. Even though I'm a Cowboys fan, I've actually rooted. I told you that I've rooted for the Chiefs ever since, the head coach went over there, because Andy Reid killed us every year. Now that he went over there, I'm like, yes, I can root for Andy Reid. So yes.
No, this whole the Chiefs experience over the last several years, the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, the hope and love of it all have really put Kansas City on a map. And what is even more special to us is that we're a host city for the World Cup in 2026. I shouldn't say even more special, equally as special. We are a
Yeah.
host city for the World Cup next year. And through the renewed interest in baseball several years ago in Kansas City, the Kansas City Royals, the Kansas City Chiefs, the World Cup, even just our infrastructure, because of these things, have improved incredibly. We have a streetcar that now goes from the very northern points of our downtown, all the way down to the UMKC, if you're familiar with Kansas City. And that streetcar program is seeing record numbers of ridership. So even just that there are businesses coming, there are incentives for businesses to open up along the streetcar line. There are incentives for businesses to open up for the World Cup. It is a very exciting time for our city. And of course, every single person is hoping that those businesses that are drawn to us because the Chiefs are performing, because the World Cup is coming, stay and continue to make our community wonderful.
I agree. And I mean, it's 1 year out of 8, 10 that you guys have been on a great run. So,
Yeah.
we saw it with the Patriots, where, Tom Brady had those first 3 Super Bowls, and then he didn't have anything for like 10 years. But I don't think, the interest in New England, and Boston and everything, went down. So I don't think it is going to happen to you guys, especially, if you, yeah, exactly. You guys are going to go back to it next year if it doesn't happen this year. But yes, I don't think there's much to worry there. But thank you for explaining that. I just
Can I
had
ask
to
you?
ask.
No, I'm
Sure,
glad.
ask
Can I
me.
ask you one Chiefs question?
Yeah.
Do you think Travis is going to retire?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I think that he wanted to have, I mean, he had it already before 2 years ago. I think that he wanted to have, the Cinderella story right now, where this year he got engaged, and then they went and then they won the Super Bowl again, and then maybe retire, right? I think that he's getting to a point in his career where he might want to continue, especially if, like his brother, right? His
Mm-hmm.
brother, he wanted to retire 1 year. They got to the Super Bowl. They didn't win it. So then he went back the next day, Jason. Shout out to
Mhm.
Jason if for whatever reason they see this. They went to the Super Bowl next year, they won it, right? And then he retired. I think that Travis might want to do that, but I don't know if he's gonna want to at the end of the season just because of, unfortunately with age, you just, you feel the hits so much more, right? Your body is just at a state where it doesn't heal as fast. So I think he'll retire this season, whatever happens. Because I think he needs to focus on his health. And he started already putting the pieces together with the podcast. And then, as an actor, what was Happy Gilmore 2 and, all the ads that he now has, he doesn't really need it. I think he'll retire, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I've had a lot of fun watching him play, honestly.
Oh, same.
So, and my girlfriend's kind of a Swiftie. And I remember I was the one that told her, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are going to get together. And she's like, you're kidding. Like, who's Travis Kelce? And I'm like, you'll see. Like, how do you know? And I'm like, because I was a fan from before. I was one of the first watchers of the podcast. I'm like, because he said something about, he put it out there about the bracelet, the friendship bracelet. And so I'm like, you'll see. Travis is going to get Taylor. Is like, I don't even know who Travis is. And then that happened. And she's like, oh my God, did you hear? And I'm like, I told you. I told you that was going to happen. But yeah, we'll see.
It is an incredible love story. The other thing that is cool, just to talk about Kansas City just a little bit more, I could drive you to the house that Travis and Taylor live in Kansas City. Anybody could.
Oh, wow.
Travis, not even a year ago, was shopping at Trader Joe's, and there were a couple photographs snapped of him, right? Like, they are living their lives in Kansas City in a way that I think, and maybe a lot of Midwest cities would be this way, but I think it's unique. There are not paparazzi following them around. It's not like they are able to live a life in Kansas City, and I'm grateful for that.
That's so awesome because you hear a lot of that stories with celebrities, but when they go across the pond, right? Like
Yeah.
I hear a lot about, celebrities having to go to London or having to go to any time of Europe to kind of be a little bit, more in the down low and not have as many paparazzi as they do here in the States. But wow, that's great. That's great to hear. I'm sure that they're loving that.
It's funny that you mentioned London because, that's Joel Alwyn lived in London. I am also a Swiftie. I may have lost you down a Swiftie rabbit hole right now.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. It's okay.
But now I get it.
Listening, it's funny to any Taylor Swift fan that you chose to say you could go to London and have a quiet life.
Yeah. I don't know why it just popped in my head. Maybe it's from listening to my girlfriend. So yeah, there's something something subconsciously there that that's why I said London.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great that they can have that life, and I think that's only gonna be I think that's only gonna make their decision easier if they just decide to stay in Kansas City, and of course it's gonna keep being great for the city. So hopefully that happens. And yeah, going back, I loved this little part. I always loved going off script a little bit. But, I do want to ask you, and again, I find it very interesting because while you are in commercial insurance, right, you're in two different industries a little bit. So let me just reel that back in a little bit. And how different do you see the client acquisition part from the insurance side to, the real estate side? And this is just me, right? I'm assuming that insurance, it's a little bit more, you need to go out there and look for clients, and with real estate, it's more you get the clients coming to you. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm wrong. I want to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge you a little bit and say that I think there's a lot of similarities.
Okay.
Commercial insurance business, you are successful in a lot of ways through referrals. You insure a business, they refer you to a similar business partner. The insurance company that I work for, we really focus in the franchise space. So one franchise owner says to another, you've got to talk to this insurance company. They're fantastic. So that is very similar to how we grow in real estate, where it is a lot. It's my network. It's our partnering agents networks. It's Andrea's network. It's the network and the people saying, Jacci Breeze sold me a house last year. I heard you're looking, you should really use her. We're growing our businesses in a very, very similar way, and that is through referrals.
Oh,
Also,
okay.
what is a decision point for a lot of people, a lot of commercial insurance prospects would be service and price. I need really good insurance or really good service on claims. I need a really good product, and I need that product to be competitively priced. Maybe I'll even pay a little more for service, but those things all have to be there. this is also true in real estate, where it is the ability to negotiate a good price and the service that I provide you through the process of doing that that's driving it.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, it's a lot of relationships, a lot of referrals. Then yeah, I can see how that's very similar in both of them. Um,
Mhm.
and that was just, thank you for challenging me on that, because from all of the people that I speak to, I do see, a little bit more on the insurance side of things, but that's maybe because I haven't talked to enough, people on the commercial real estate side of things, where they have to, they're all about, let's get a new list, or let's try and find new people. But it could also be because they're focused on another part of insurance and not commercial insurance. So thank
Well,
you. Thank you
no,
for challenging me that.
well, no, and just to talk about that a little more, I do think that there is, if you asked me a question about our brokerage, do you specialize in anything? And I said, no, we want you with you know, a tiny baby nest egg, and we want you with a $5 million property, right?
Yeah.
But insurance, sometimes insurance companies do specialize a bit, where, which is true for me, where we're, like I said, we specialize in the franchise space. Some insurance companies don't do that. And if I am an insurance brokerage who is open to any type of business, then the referral becomes less valuable and the list becomes more valuable. That's because the referral, the business owner that you're insuring maybe doesn't partner with all the other guys or ladies that do his thing, right? His network could just be a mishmash and not as particular to the type of business insurance that you're focusing in. I don't know if
Okay.
that made sense. I feel like I rambled a little bit, but
No, no, yeah, it does make sense.
very good.
I have a close friend that's in insurance, so yeah, I kind of
Okay.
understand, a little bit of what you're saying. But yeah, a lot of my information just comes from me, talking to him, and him, reaching out to me and like, hey, Oscar, I know you're not in insurance, but you are in business development, right? How can I, get on your list, or how can I, reach this kinds of people? Like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
doing? What can you, tell me about it? So yeah, that's where it comes from. And and just, a little bit more on the, commercial real estate, Wardell and Homes. Where do you see, the biggest opportunities, in the market, like right now and in the next few years?
Well, regardless of whether you're comfortable doing it or not, because of, challenging uncertainty, is an excellent time to start building a portfolio. So if you are somebody who's ever been interested in, purchasing an investment property to hold for a period of time, this is the time to do that. It is not necessarily the time to buy your first flip that you're going to fix
Okay.
and sell in the next, 4 to 6 months. It is an excellent time to buy and hold.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about why it's not the best time to buy your first flip?
Yep. When we're really sort of, maybe we're in a period of time, and I can really talk to the Kansas City market, but let's say we're in a period of time like we are now, where there's more inventory and things are taking longer to sell and prices are coming down. That's not a really good time for me to flip a house, because I want the market to be at its peak when I'm ready to sell that house. So
Okay.
that's
Now I
why, because inventory is large and prices are decreasing, as an investor, I want to buy and hold right now. I'm going to buy low, hold that property, and wait for the market to come back up. And then I'm going to take advantage of the market being up, and I'm going to sell the property for a greater profit.
That's okay. I understand now. Thank you for that. I think it's very interesting. When I first actually heard about this, I thought it was very interesting, and now it's very logical, right? When it comes, and if you just look at the numbers. But I think
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of people panic when they see prices going down, right? Because, oh, my property should always, it should always appreciate. So there's
Appreciate.
something wrong if it's coming down. And I understand that from a homeowner's point of view, but when you actually look at it from a business or investor point of view, that's the best time, right? Because like you just said, that's the time to buy, you hold, and then yeah, you flip it later on. Maybe right now, like I said, is the time to buy and hold, and also buy and restore, right? If
Oh
prices
yeah.
are coming down, there might be it might be a good time to also invest in just doing that, because then when prices start going up, I think also contractors prices are going to go up, right? Because now you're going to have a lot of people saying, let's restore it now, right? Let's fix it. So yeah, that makes a lot of
Exactly.
sense. That makes a lot of sense. Jackie, it's we're coming to the a little bit of the end of the call. I'm having a lot of fun. It's very entertaining. I love going through that. Travis Kelsey, Taylor Swift. They're not doing the Brangelina thing anymore, right? Like there's no
No,
joint nickname for them, right? I haven't heard one. Because I
no. And
remember the time
listen,
where everyone was doing the
doing that
joint nicknames. Yeah.
as a
Bet.
feminist, I'm going to say she doesn't want to. she's going to hold on to that individual name, and I respect that.
Maybe they can be Tay Square, right? I mean, it's Taylor, it's Travis, Tay Square. It's still her nickname. But I found it interesting because I remember when I was, way younger. It's the Benifer, the Brangelinas, the whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, that is so funny. Yeah, I like your idea for the Tay Squared. I think it's going to stick. You mentioned Jason might watch, and that he'll tell Travis, and then it's just wildfire.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome if they actually watch this. And I'm the one that coined Tay Square, so
Yeah,
copyright.
it's all Oscar.
But yeah, so we're I was saying we're coming a little bit to the end of the call. I've had a lot of fun, and one thing that I would love to ask you is in terms of, you can answer this in terms of the business or in terms of just your if you had a magic wand. I love asking this question. If you had a magic wand that you could just wave, and change one thing, about commercial real estate or the business, what would that one thing be?
It would lower the barrier to entry for anyone, so that it doesn't matter your background, where you came from, what you are able to join in investing in commercial real estate, or even investing in residential real estate to build your own commercial portfolio, whatever it is, lowering that barrier to entry so that more people can use real estate to build wealth.
I love that.
It's a scary, I'm sure like every blender is saying, oh my God, get her off the podcast. But like, I'm not going to presume to know how we do that. But if we could all work together as an industry, banks and real estate and all of us work together to allow lending and financing, creative, and a lot of lenders do a wonderful job with creative financing, but the more we can do in that space to lower that barrier to entry for people, the better.
Thank you for that. I love that. I think that's a great answer. I mean, in the end, it's whatever improves the majority of people's lives, like this would be, it's good for everyone. At the end of the day, there's more economic development, there's more money to go around, there's more people buying more stuff. So I think that'll be a great thing. Thank you for that. And just last, before we go, I would love to know, what does success mean to you personally?
I have a long history of equating success to personal happiness. And I am moving through this space of real estate in a real effort to, this is my third time now, help people create a beautiful life. And that if I can succeed in that way, everything else it's going to work. That will fuel my own personal happiness. My own personal happiness will help me be able to create those things for more and more people. And I see it as a cycle.
I love that. And that should be your slogan, honestly. I help people create a beautiful life. I think that's a great tagline. And I resonate a lot with that. The way I run my business and the way I do things with my clients is I like helping them achieve their goals, right? That's one of the things that I want for my clients as well, right? On the business development side of things, is like, I want to help you get to a point where we can help you sell your business, right? Let's not only get you, 20%, 30%, 50% more clients or more revenue. It's actually helping you get to that, goal. Or, the ones that don't want to sell it, help you get the business to a point where you're leaving, a great legacy for your kids if they want to take over.
I love that because, it's very similar to my experience where you have had an experience and it was amazing, and you want to help people with that and recreate that for other people. And it's the same for me. There was a period of my life where figuratively, my life blew up, and it was my home that I built that was a sanctuary for me. And I said, this experience has helped me grow and become a better person. And I've really healed through this journey in this beautiful space that I've created. And that's how I got to this point of, well, I want to help other people create a beautiful life. It's the same thing. You had an experience that you want to share with people. I've had an experience that I want to help people with in the same way.
I love that. I think that's why, we kind of, resonated a lot with each other and wanted to do this call. So thank you so much for that, Jacci. It's been a great talk. Before we go, I would love for you to, just plug, where can people know more about you, your work, the company, and everything?
Come see us online at wardellandholmes.com. So www.wardelholmes.com. You see it on my name there. So I won't phonetically spell it for everyone, but it's Wardell and Holmes with an L. We would love the opportunity to work with anybody who has questions about, what does it take to even buy a house? Or what does it take to invest commercially in real estate? Or I've been doing this a long time and I can, you know, maybe look at this a different way. Can we talk? Whatever it is, we'd love to help.
Jacci, thank you so much, for agreeing to be a guest on the podcast. And again, I'm very proud, I'm very happy and honored that you chose us to be, your first podcast. So I love that. And, to anyone listening to the podcast out there, I know that you got value from this. If you can help us with liking, commenting, subscribing, that just helps us, bring this kind of conversation and message, to hopefully inspire other people. So please go again and share it, like, subscribe. And Jacci, thanks so much again for being a guest. And to everyone out there, this has been the Lead Skills Show. And once again, I was your host, Oscar, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Oscar.